I might be cooked. Writing code right now, it's not even like a secret. I have to write the code. So you are expected to like deliver more. Microsoft, I think they only hire 300 Explore interns to be one of the 300 in the whole like world, I guess. Yeah. It's like really crazy. It's more likely to get into Harvard than just to get into like an internship. What's up, bro?
What's up? Yeah, welcome to today's podcast. For the viewers, for the context, my name is Arboy. I'm a SWE intern at Google, and I'm also a CS major at the University of Oklahoma. And this is the first episode of the InternView podcast series, where we'll be talking with different interns across FAANG companies. So think of Microsoft, Netflix, Google, Apple, and so forth. And in these videos, we're gonna get deep into how their journey was until they got to where they are, and maybe advice they might have for other people. And also just gonna have discussions around AI and the current tech industry. So today I'm welcoming a friend of mine here. We've been friends for like quite a long time right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can start by introducing yourself.
Thank you so much for having me here, for like allowing me to be here for like the first episode. So it really means a lot to me. My name is Luke Mwizerwa. I originally come from Rwanda. We got the same school, University of Oklahoma. I'm a computer science student. So I'm doing master's and bachelor's degree at the same time. And this summer I'm interning at Microsoft as a software engineering intern. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for pointing out that you are interning at Microsoft this summer. And just to move a little bit beyond that, can you tell us a bit more about your background in terms of like where you're from and how, like what's your culture and stuff like that? Yeah.
I'm originally from Rwanda. So I grew up in like a small city, like it's like an hour from the capital. So that's where I spend a lot of time before I went to like my boarding schools. And then when I went to my boarding schools, like 2017, I got there, I got to know people, boarding schools, like you meet people with like different backgrounds and stuff like that. And then I spent there like 4 years, so until 2021, that's when I got like a chance to like apply for UWC, where I continued my study for like the last 2 grades of high school, so grade 11 and 12. And then I went to Bosnia for those grades, and then after Bosnia, I came to America for my college. So.
After Rwanda, you mentioned that you went to high school in Bosnia, I believe. Can you mention to the viewer a little bit what is UWC and how was that process like too?
So for me, like this whole journey has just been like, it's a lot of luck involved, right? Yeah. Like how I know, first of all, UWC is like United World College. So it's like a community where like different people come together and like, different people from like different cultures come together and use education as a force to promote like peace and unity among people. So it's an organization where like, people with money, they want to help like different people from different countries to go to school and like get good education. So I didn't know about it. And then how it happened is like I had one of my friends. So he came to me and asked for me to lend him like 1,000 Rwandan francs. So that's like $1. Yeah. And then I gave it to him. And then like weeks later, he came to me. He was like, yo, look, I don't really have like full 1K to give you back. So he's like 500. So that's like 5 cents. And then the less 500, I can give you this copy because I printed the copy like 500 to get like the full print. But like, I can't apply to this application because I'm overage. So they wanted people from like 16 to 17, I guess, and he was 19.
And the copy was the copy of the application?
Yeah, the copy of the application, yeah. And then I was like, it's cool. I got the 500, I got the copy. And then I took the copy, I just put it into my box, and then I forgot about it for like 2 weeks. And then when we were just having like dinner with other kids, like when like the director of studies came and, he gave an announcement about like, people who have these copies, just like, fill it up quickly because the deadline is approaching. And then after that, I just went and looked through the whole paper, I applied and stuff like that. I didn't know it was gonna be like a big thing. but it turned out to be like, the start of my journey to like here to the US, like into big tech as well. So I applied, I did an interview, I got in, and then I went to Bosnia for 2 years. And then after that, so before that, I was doing math, physics, and computer science as my major in like high school in A level. Back in home, we have like A levels.
Yeah.
So I was doing computer science, math, and physics. And then when I went to UWC in Bosnia, they didn't have a computer science, so I just did like math, physics, and chemistry. Yeah. So I kind of forgot about tech and stuff like that. So I went more into like 3D modeling and like mechanical engineering stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I came here
into the US,
yeah, I was an aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the market was so cooked, I will say. And then I was just like, I was no like happy. I didn't see myself as an aerospace engineer, right?
Yeah.
Because I had the passion of me like, liking tech. I was like, the only thing I could do was just something about like tech, like computer science or like computer engineering and stuff like that. Yeah. And then the good thing, it was like I had you, Messi, and other friends doing computer science. So I felt like all my friends are in computer science and stuff like that. Then we also like just try it. Yeah. So after the first semester, I changed majors. I became a computer science student. And then from there, it's just history, bro.
Yeah. From there, it's just history, as you said. Your journey so far has been pretty interesting. And to some extent, I really agree with that point of like a lot of luck being involved. Because I also went to a UWC school, but it was in Germany, as you know. Yeah. And it's just kind of crazy how like life just navigates over time, because I remember that day even in the university when we were having that conversation, when you were asking me about CS and that you want to switch majors and everything. And at the end, it worked out pretty well. So yeah, I think that went pretty well, at least on that manner.
Yeah, it's just like when I think about it, I'm like what if I was not gonna like take that risk? Because I told my parents like before I left home, everybody was so hyped that my son is gonna like work in NASA, we're gonna go to the moon and stuff like that. But it wasn't really something I felt in my heart, so I just wanted to be in tech, So when I made that decision, I told my parents. They were like, they still support you, but like African parents, they're like, everyone is doing computer science. Are you gonna be like, that guy who like, fix the phones and stuff? I was like, nah, it's more than that. Yeah. So, but I feel like right now they kind of understand why I made that decision, and all thanks to God to to achieve all this.
And just for a little bit of context for the viewers, at least in a lot of I would say developing nations or the so-called like third world, doing computer science or like software engineering, a lot of people end up not having jobs, and they will have like these small shops where they fix phones and stuff like that. That's why parents are usually pretty hesitant to say yes to their kids to pursue that major, since the countries are not that technologically advanced, so there aren't a lot of opportunities. But it's good that I was able to work out. Just jumping right into like more of the CS and tech world. You mentioned that you were doing aerospace before coming into CS. What do you think compelled you to go into computer science? I know you did mention that there weren't a lot of opportunities in aerospace, especially for an international in the US because of like restrictions in terms of like work authorization and all of that. Yeah. But what really like compelled you and interested you to be like, maybe computer science might be the right part for me, the right part of me to try, and learn more about?
So like, thank you. That's a really good question. I think one of the things that made me like, that influenced me to like just go from aerospace to computer science, it's because first of all, like I grew up as someone who likes like, tech stuff. I always grew up like watching videos about like tech. It can be like about phones and stuff like that, just like about like new technologies that are like out there and stuff like that. So like when I got into aerospace, I was like, it was more about like the money and the status about like being an aerospace engineer. It wasn't really more about like for the love of the game, right? But CS just felt like something I would actually do and enjoy it, Because I think computer science is like, is about like finding like an efficient way to solve problems. And I think you can use like CS to solve problems for like people around the world without you needing to move around the world. You know, like your impact can have like can impact way more people than you actually imagine. You know, because you can wake up and create a software that actually helps someone in Asia, you know. But like to be an engineer, you have to go in the field and actually, you know, be there and stuff like that. And like it doesn't really impact people like that. So I wanted something I can do, and then I can also use it to like give back to my community like real quick, you know. So it was more of like for the love of the game, I would say. Yeah. And also the second thing, it was that like the fear of like I go here, you know, like as an international student, you have the fear of like, you know, I'm not gonna get the job because of like this and this like that. So for aerospace, it's really hard to get a job, you know, because all my friends who were like international students in aerospace, they ended up leaving it. They went from aerospace to mechanical because like mechanical, you have more opportunities to get like a job in the US than aerospace because it's not for like international students. So that was also one of the things that made me change to CS.
Yeah. All right. I think definitely that makes sense, and I can draw like a pretty good connection when you say that computer science, like you felt like it could easily touch upon and affect different people from other places easier, more in a way easier way compared to like aerospace. One thing about software engineering specifically as a part of CS, as you mentioned, is that it can really like touch and have influence in places that are way further away from you than other forms of engineering, because you can just essentially make an app, or you can make software that can actually be used by people in different places. So in a sense, it's almost like a superpower compared to other forms of engineering. That's why I'm really interested in CS, and I think that's why you are also interested in CS. You did share a bit about like the journey just from Rwanda to Bosnia to the US, and that part where you had to like switch majors from aerospace to computer science. And we can say to a huge extent it did pay off, because I mean, at the end, you're here, software engineering intern at Microsoft, and this is your second time interning there. So maybe it's also time we start like switching more into that topic. So can you share to us a little bit more of how was your process recruiting for Microsoft? Like, especially since you had to switch from aerospace to CS, were there stuff you really need to quickly catch up in order to learn for the interviews, for example? So just give us essentially an idea of how your process was like.
So because I switched to like CS, like the second semester I go here, so second semester of freshman year, that means like I did aerospace only for like the first semester, right? So I switched to CS, and then what happened was like I didn't take those like CS classes like intro to Java and stuff like that. So I had to take a class that allowed me to take Java only for like half a semester and then keep up with other classes. So for me to get into that class, they had to test me because, you know, I did programming before, but I wasn't that good. So I had to like practice a little bit, take the test to get that like a fast-paced Java class that didn't have like a lab or anything like that. And then after the second semester freshman year, I was kind of like on pace. I just had like a few classes I was behind because you guys were taking some classes, and then I take it like the following semester. So, and then we got into sophomore year. So that was for 2024, right? And then we go, for 2024. So for 2024, what happened was like, I saw you like applying to stuff, right? Yeah. So for me, like I wasn't really worrying about like applying, you know, and stuff like that, because I was thinking like they can't really hire like a sophomore. Yeah. You know, you have to be a junior to be an intern, because that's like the main thing. I didn't know about like Explore. I didn't know about like this Google Step and like these programs for like freshmen and sophomore years. So I saw you applying to like different companies. You didn't care about like if they take you or now you was just applying. So I was like, if this guy is applying, I might as well, you know? Yeah. So I was like, once I was scrolling on Instagram, just like watching reels. I didn't have anything to do. And then I saw this one guy, he's like a Sui guy. I think he's like a content creator, Sui. I don't remember his name, but he was talking about like Google Step, Explore, like Microsoft Explore, Meta University, NVIDIA Ignite, like all those programs. And then I was like, wait, this is kind of interesting. So I saved the reel, I kept scrolling. And then weeks later, I was like, actually, let me go back to the reel and see those companies and apply to them. So my resume wasn't that good. I just had like a few things I did on campus about like the robotics
The
thing.
robotics club, yeah.
Yeah, we did. And also like a few projects that I did in class. It wasn't really that bad. And then I applied to like a lot of companies, like some software engineering like roles and stuff like that, but it was just for like juniors.
Yeah.
So I would go like rejection after rejection after rejection. And then I was like, okay, I understand because I'm just a sophomore, so there's nothing for me. And then when I was waiting, I saw an email from Microsoft.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, look, congratulations, we're inviting you for an interview. And then you remember I was with you in the shop.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, yo, like this is a scam or something like that. So we sat down, we investigated the whole email, it was legit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I might be cooked.
Yeah.
But I went on YouTube. I started watching like a day in the life of like a Microsoft intern. What is Explore? What does Explore do and stuff like that. And then I started like doing like some read code easy questions, right? And then during that preparation, I realized that Explore is not really more about like if you can code. It's more about like if you are a good teammate, if you understand some parts of engineering, because engineering is about being in teams and stuff like that. So I started focusing more on like how am I gonna explain to the interview about my team building, like what things I participated in and stuff like that. So I went from spending so much time on solving read code questions, like easy questions, and more into preparing like my behavior questions.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that what helped me to like get through the interview and stuff like that. Yeah, because during the interview, I got only like one question about like coding. Everything else for like 45 minutes was just about behavior questions, like what are the challenges did you do? What did you do about this and that? Like typical behavior questions.
Yeah.
So I really think that what helped me go through the interview. So after the interview, I didn't know if I passed because I didn't really finish my coding question, right? I did it, but like, during the interview, like you were explaining like your thoughts to the interviewer and
so
stuff
you're
that.
Not sure and stuff.
Yeah, so I was like, I was so worried. But in my heart, had this one thing of like, I have to get into Microsoft. I was watching like YouTube videos, Instagram reels about like interns in general at Microsoft. So I would see myself the next summer, like summer 2025 in Microsoft. I just I couldn't prove it, but like I just felt like I belonged there. And then a few weeks later, I got an offer, and then it was just like since then it was like history. Because
history.
Yeah, accepted the offer. Went there last summer, 2025, as an Explorer intern. I think I did a good job. I got an opportunity to get like a return offer to become like a SWE intern.
Yeah.
And then this summer I'm a SWE intern. So that was the whole process of becoming like a SWE intern at Microsoft. Yeah.
I feel like so far that's a pretty fascinating journey. And for me, firsthand, is like I was in that experience. Like you were telling me about almost every step you were in throughout the process. So even for me, it was like kind of like just learning how recruiting works in tech, because I didn't get a chance to interview. So in that recruiting season, so it was mostly like learning from how your process was going.
Yeah.
And so you told us about how the interviews went specifically. And do you mind like just telling us a little bit more about how many interviews did you do, for example, and what were the technical ones and what were the behavioral ones, so that people have an idea at least of like that Explore program and how it interviews. Because there isn't a lot of programs for freshmen and sophomores. So I feel like Explore is a pretty unique one because it still exists. For example, And I don't believe Google still has one. I think it still has the ASDI or something. But yeah, can you tell us more about how the interviews were specifically? Like, how long were the interviews? Which ones were technical? And yes, explain sample questions like that you got in the interviews, so we have an idea of what it took you to be able to get there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I can't say specifically like which questions.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But I can talk about like
In
around those
general,
questions.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think for like Microsoft in general.
Wait, do you sign like an NDA for the questions?
For the questions?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I don't even remember because it was like 2 years.
Because
Like,
I know for Google, I had to do an NDA that I can't share the questions directly. But that's just funny. That's why I pointed out maybe you signed an NDA. But yeah, you can just tell us the general view of the interview.
yeah, I mean, it's not like really, I don't think we signed an NDA. It's just like I don't really remember the questions.
Yeah.
But what I will say to like people in general, like if you're applying for the Explore, like these like sophomore programs, like don't really focus on the engineering part of the job. Just focus on like, are you like a good teammate? You know, like what's your experience about like being in a team? Like, have you done something with like a team and stuff like that? Because what they really want to do, like they're gonna teach you the engineering part. So what they want to say, like, are you willing to like cooperate with like the people there and stuff like? Are you willing to learn? Like, are you a good learner? Like how you think and stuff like that. So for Microsoft, we had like 2 interviews, right? So they send me that email. So you choose a day, and then after you choose a day, they tell you like the instructions about like your interview day and stuff like that.
Do you remember the date of the interview? Because I remember it was in November.
Yeah.
Was it 23rd of November?
I think it was a few days before my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Or after my birthday, because it was in October, like end of October.
End of October. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's when I got the email about the interview. And then, I think it was November, October. I don't remember the timeline.
Okay.
But yeah, for Microsoft, so you only do 2 interviews, right? So one interview is 45 minutes and they are 15 minutes apart. So that means you sit for one interview, you do 45 minutes, you get a 15 minutes break, and then you do another interview, and then that's it. For at least for the Explorer, right? So I go there, and then we had like it's like a meeting before the interview where like the recruiters are telling you guys how about the interview, trying to tell you like, oh, don't be afraid, just be you, you know, just explain stuff, you know, like make sure like all those like good stuff about interviews. They're trying to make you like not feel like it's a big thing, just like be you, you know, because the thing that I realized about Microsoft, like recruiting process and program, is that like they really want you to win. Yeah. You know, sometimes you go to an interview and you're like, actually, this guy, he doesn't want me to like go anywhere. Yeah. But like the interviewers, like the recruiters, they're actually setting you for success. You know, they want you to win. So when they ask you questions, they will try their best to like explain the questions to the level you understand it. You know, they're gonna help you with your thinking. They're just trying to help you win, you know. So it was so like good after that meeting. So I felt like more confident about the interviews. So I got into the first interview, and then we just talked like about, you know, those questions like tell us about yourself and stuff like that. And then we jumped into like those behavior and hypothetical questions like, okay, if this would happen in the team, what would you do? And stuff like that. So one of the things that I did to prepare for my interviews, I made like a Word doc where I kind of like, I went to the internet. You know, some people post like the questions or like some like methods of like which questions, how to answer the questions.
Oh, like those star methods, for example.
So there's like this like a list of questions that really comes back in an interview like most of the times. So I went and I made like a Word doc of those questions and their answers. And then what I did, I took like 2 to 3 experiences that I can really talk about like confidently. And then I just framed all my answers to those questions, right? And then, to those scenarios, to those like experiences. And then after that, I made sure you answer through with like the STAR method, like the situation, the task, the action, and the results, right? Yeah. So in the interview, they ask you a question, make sure like you do STAR method, and then just don't overdo it. Don't make it too obvious that you are doing a STAR method. Just make it sound natural, but just like use the STAR method. And then after that, so like at the end of the interview, so like 5-10 minutes before the interview ended, that's when we jumped into like technical questions. So he gave me a question and then I started solving it and stuff like that. I finished the question, but the output was like it had the bug. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know, I tried to explain to him and stuff like that. He could see that I understand what happened because we didn't really have enough time to finish. So he was like, it's fine, don't worry about it, And then after that, the first interview, I was so worried about like, I didn't finish my question. I didn't do what? Only had 15 minutes to think about it. And then boom, the second interview. So the second interview was also chill and stuff like that. The interviewer, he asked me some questions, some like specific questions about like product, because Expro, you do PM and SUI at the same time. So the second interview was more on like the product management stuff, And then also like 5-10 minutes before the interview ended, I got like a coding question. That one also like I did good, even though also I didn't finish because they had like a little bit of time. But it kind of shows you that like coding for an Expro, it's not really like an issue. You just have to like be good with your behavior questions.
Okay, so that's I think that's pretty good to point out because I think more and more as we go on, we see a lot of freshmen and sophomore or like these students in the, I would say, lower classmen in college are really trying to also get experience in the industry. So it's just good for them to have an idea of how a program like Expro works in terms of like the recruiting process and everything. Let's say right now you work at Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
And over the summer you like do it that from like 9 to 5 technically. Can you give us a little bit more of a glimpse into how that is for you, because you're balancing your accelerated masters and you're also doing the bachelor's at the same time. And during summers, you work as an intern. So can you just give us, let's say, maybe a glimpse in the life of a Microsoft Explore/SUI intern?
So like the life of an intern is like pretty different depending on like which org do you work on. So when I say an org, is like which organization do you work on. So like these big companies, they have like different organization. So let's say for Microsoft, like Azure, it's its own organization, right? Windows or like, those stuff is like a different organization. Xbox is a different, like Microsoft AI is a different organization, right? So these are different orgs and they have like kind of different ways of operating and stuff like that. But like a typical intern, you just have like, let's say for like an Explorer intern, you get to Microsoft, like the first week, it's about like orientation and stuff like that, like nothing really big. You attend some events, trying to learn about like different ways. And then during the first week, so the first day, you have like a day long orientation where they introduce you to Microsoft, they teach you about the culture and stuff like that, what to expect, what to not do and stuff like that. And then the second day, you meet your manager, like you meet your team in general, like that's when you get access to like, you get permissions, that's when you get your email from Microsoft and stuff like that. And then day 3, that's when you actually started to get to know the team, to get to know your project, like what are you going to be working on and stuff like that. So like the first week is just about you getting introduced to the team and Microsoft in general, right? Trying to finish your trainings because, like as a new employee, you gotta do some trainings on, like watch some videos. So that's pretty it for the first week. For the second week, that's when you actually start to like, go deep into your project, right? So that's when you start having some one-on-ones with your manager. That's when you actually have to plan about like, okay, for this project, I'm gonna be delivering like this and this and this and this and this for this weeks until the end of the internship. At least for me, that's how it was, right? Yeah. So,
and just to sorry for cutting you off. You work in the Seattle office, right?
Oh yeah.
And how can you give us an idea of how big is the campus and everything?
It's so big. Like, I mean, cause where I'm from, and like this, like I never thought about like how big Microsoft was.
Yeah.
I go there. There's like 100-something buildings. Microsoft have buildings like building 1, building 2, building 3, building 4. So like there's like a lot of buildings until like building 100-something. Like it's like a huge. I think it's like a whole city, even like a whole zip code. I don't really know, but like it's a huge campus.
And how many employees roughly sit there or are located there in that?
I don't really know. Like
an approximation.
Maybe I was 10K. I don't know.
10 because
I don't really
reference, know. So for Google, I'm in the Sunnyvale office.
Yeah.
And I got this information from my manager and my other team. And roughly around 20,000, 24,000 employees work at the Sunnyvale office. So I'll imagine maybe the same or even more.
I think because like that's the headquarters for Microsoft, so I think it's more. It's more. Maybe it can be more than 10K.
And interns, how many interns roughly?
Interns
for the summer.
It's tricky because every week they have like onboarding like weekly.
Or for a new batch.
Yeah, for a new batch. Like we start like some people start maybe May 18th, others start May like 26th. Like that for like a whole month. And the first week, like one bunch is like roughly 200 to 300 interns.
Okay.
Even 500, because I see like a lot of people during the orientation day, so I imagine it's like actually like
it's a lot of interns. So approximately we say maybe probably over 1,500, over 2,000 maybe.
Like I've also for like one summer at the headquarters, they might have like maybe between like one to 1,500.
1 to
like 1K to 1,500.
Oh, okay. That's roughly the
so
same.
it's like a lot of interns.
Yeah. I would say roughly for Google, it's like I think we were told maybe 1,700 across North America. Wait, was it across North America or across the Americas in general? So that would include their USA offices, South American offices, and maybe offices in Canada in total. So
honestly, like I don't think 1K we have them at like one campus because I don't really know the numbers. It's just like I'm basing it on like how many people I see during the orientation day. So maybe even 5, because I think I don't know. I don't really know the numbers, but maybe like I would say like 1K.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. But yeah, the competition there sounds huge. Do you have an idea roughly of the numbers of people who apply? Because for Google, I've heard like for this recruiting season for their internship program, it was close. It was close to 400, 500K applicants. And this is just a number I'm throwing off around of what I've heard. So I'm not really sure, but imagine 500,000 applicants and they only need 1,000 to maybe 2,000 interns. Like you're more likely to get into Harvard at this point than to get Microsoft.
Like it's more likely to get into Harvard than just to get into like an internship.
Yeah.
So I would just say like, for my experience, I feel like it's just God and luck.
Okay.
Because I can't say my resume was like that good. Like it got me like an extra internship. I wouldn't say like my interview was like on point. It's just like when God loves you so much, like everything just goes goes your way. So like the competition is really tough because for like Microsoft, I think they only hire like only 300 Explore interns. And you can imagine to to be one of the 300 in the whole like world, I guess.
Yeah,
it's like really crazy.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you think of mentioning things like luck and God playing a really, I would say, central role in getting us to these opportunities, do you think the process is also similar to the SWE intern program, or do you think that is slightly harder, so it requires a little bit of more like just effort and grind and projects? And
Yeah, I think for SWE, I think still like,
there's luck.
there is like God has to be there,
Yeah.
of course, But like for SWE, I really think you have to put in the work to like actually prove that you deserve
The spot.
like the spot, because I mean, having done like a SWE interview for Microsoft, because I transitioned from Xpro, I got a return offer, and then I became a SWE intern. So I didn't need to do like an interview for their SWE roles.
Yeah.
But I think for SWE, like general SWE, like as your Google went, it's like you have, to know your technical, you have to know your behavior. Now it's like both like technical behavior, because now you are like a SWE intern. You have to prove that at least your critical thinking like,
really is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing on that part. If we just trace back a little bit, you told us that the work and let's say the life as an intern or even as just an employee at Microsoft really also revolves around the org you are in. So can you share a little bit about the org that you are in and maybe the team and a little bit about the projects that you are working on there, and just share to the extent that you feel comfortable sharing, because I know with these a lot of like NDAs and stuff like that are involved. So yeah.
So that's a good question, because as I said, like an intern, you experience like for Microsoft interns, we're gonna have almost the same experience, but like your personal experience is gonna be different, depending on your org and your team and stuff like that, right? So for my team, I mean, right now I'm working for like Microsoft AI.
Okay.
So that's the organization that owns, I think it has Bing, owns Copilot, of course, and Microsoft News. So when I say Microsoft News, you see when you have like you open your Windows laptop,
And
you see
these
like those news things you see
about news.
Yeah, so that's Microsoft News. I think also they own Edge. So yeah, so they have like search in general. So search is the Bing and So right now my team is under search. So I'm in Bing, and my team is like the front end team for Bing.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, I don't really want to say the exact name of the team, but it's Bing. It's like saying like you are in Google search or something like that. So for my project, I can't really talk, to it like that. Maybe at the end of the internship, but it's really more about like.
So let's say for Explore, since you did Explore previously the other summer, can you tell us a bit more about that project?
Yeah, so it was like we're working on like, cause for the Explore, like for people who don't really know, so for the Explore you are like, it's not like you're working by yourself. You are in a team of 3 interns, right? So you have 3 interns, you both work on the same project. So Explore, I would say it's more like chill, because you have 3 people who are working on the same project, so it's kind of easy to like navigate. And also you have those like PM and SWE experiences, right? So the project we're working on is like this internal app they had, and they wanted us to implement something that can help them debug easily their schemas, So like, when you have a schema and you don't really know if it's doing the things it's supposed to do.
Like the database schemas?
Yeah. Okay. So that was the whole project for the whole. Like I didn't want to don't even want to like talk about it, but that was the whole thing. So for the PM part, what we did about that project, so we had to do interviews. We had to interview the clients, like the teams that were gonna use that app, that program. And then after like interviewing them, like knowing like, okay, what's their pain points and stuff like that, then we come back, we know, okay, actually the users need these things. So what can we implement from that?
Yeah.
So from being the PM of like connecting the engineers to the clients, and then now after like knowing everything that we need to implement, now then we dive into like into like writing like a product requirement document, and then after it gets approved, you do like your design docs and stuff like that, and then later in the internship, that's when you start like coding. You start the sweet part.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you usually like manage your time in terms of like work, in terms of your personal projects and just personal life in general? We understand that software engineering can get pretty busy. I mean, engineering in general, like it's a pretty busy field.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that, and how do you think that's going to play part as right now you're trying to pursue a full-time return offer?
So yeah, for like, I really think right now, like as a software engineer, like it's getting harder and harder because, you know, like with these AI tools and stuff like that, so you are expected to like actually deliver more than how it was like 2-3 years ago, right? So how I manage my project and like my personal work and stuff like that is that I like to have like reminders, you know, like write down like what do I need to do by this time, you know, and then when that time comes, you know, I get like a notification about like, okay, actually you need to send an email to your manager or something like that, because like you know, like these things of like, oh, I have ADHD. Is it ADHD? ADHD.
Yeah, ADHD.
Yeah. I have ADHD. Like, you know, I forget stuff, and you know, I feel like my mind is always like racing. There's like a lot happening, right? So if I don't write some things down where I can see them, so it's really hard for me to like actually keep track of like what I'm doing, you know? So at the start of the week, I make a plan of like, okay, by the end of the week, I need to be done with this part of the project. I need to talk to these people. I need to attend these events, you know, like a list of the things I need to do each week, right? And then after that, I dive into like days, right? So I'm like, okay, on Monday, I have to do this and this and this, right? And then what I do, I don't really put it on the phone. And I put it down on the sticker notes, right? And then put them somewhere I can actually see them, you know? Because I feel like in the phone you can get a notification, or like in the laptop you have like these like notes app, like note apps and stuff like that. But I think like for me, because I can get easily distracted.
Yeah.
So if I put it there and I open another app and stuff like that, I'm not gonna remember about it. So I make like sticker notes. I put them somewhere like on my desk where I can see them, and then just know like, okay, every day when I come, like, okay, today I plan to do this and this. So then I start working, you know, and then I just start working. I make sure like I send those emails, I talk to those people, I watch some videos, like I read some documentations, or like I just like, you know, implement my whole project.
All right. And so it looks like you have kind of like, you're getting to master that whole process of managing your time and tasks, since you get a lot of tasks and stuff you need to work on. So how do you think like that particular skill is helping you? And essentially, how is everything that you are learning right now at Microsoft helping you and preparing you as you are trying to get a full-time return off as a software engineer?
Yeah. So like one of the things that I'm doing different from last year when I was an X-Pro, like last year I just felt like I was just there, you know, like, I mean, I was doing what I'm supposed to do. Like I was doing my project. I was just like showing up to work and stuff like that. But I wasn't really, you know, building the network as, you know, as I'm supposed to, because for the people who haven't got internships, I feel like internship is the best part where you can actually afford to like, I would say like, up, you know, like you can actually afford to like mess up some stuff and no one is really gonna judge you, you know.
Yeah.
It's the time where you can afford to ask the dumbest question you can ever think of, you know. It's the time where you can like do anything. But I feel like last year I wasn't really like doing the things that will help me grow as a person, also in my career. You know, you have to like network, you have to get to know people and stuff like that. So this year, what I'm doing that's helping me to become like a full-time, like to go become like a full-time software engineer, I'm making sure like I'm getting to know the team in general, right? I'm not just like an intern. I'm not going to the office and log into my desk. I'm making sure I have some like one-on-ones with like different teammates and stuff like that. I'm making sure I attend some events. I'm making sure like I'm signing for those like mentorship programs, because like these companies, they actually provide like a lot of stuff as an intern for you to help you grow in your career. So that's the thing I'm really focusing on, like my communication skills and my networking in general. Yeah.
I think that makes things pretty clear, and I hope you really get to achieve that goal. Because right now you have industry experience, so probably getting into the industry wouldn't be that much of a hassle compared to people who still are looking for that industry experience. Okay, actually this is probably the last question I'm gonna ask. We are in the world of AI right now. Like AI is kind of part of our work. I mean, it's part of how we live to some extent because we depend on it a lot. But for software engineering specifically, it's really part of our workflow. How do you leverage AI in your daily work, specifically as a SWE intern? Like, how do you have recommendations for the type of tools do you use? What approaches do you use to develop solutions with AI? Give us an idea of that.
So that's a really good question, because right now AI has become like your, it's not even like your teammate. It's like more of like the part of yourself. Like everything that we do right now, even in Microsoft, like AI at some point, like everything that you do or you can think of, AI already has like a percentage of that. So like from meetings, from
writing code,
from like writing code right now, it's not even like a secret. It's just like AI have to write the code. It's not like it has to, but like AI writes the code because we know that like AI is faster on like implementing. So if you have an idea and like you have like good instructions on how the AI is supposed to behave, then the coding part is done. That's why I was saying like being a software engineer right now, the amount of like work you put in and the productivity and the output you have to deliver, it's more like you're expected to like deliver more stuff, right? So also to go back on the questions you asked me about, like what am I doing different from like last year to help me prepare myself for full time. Like I'm trying to do stuff that are not like my projects, right? So I'm trying to like get my manager give me some like small like stuff to work on. If someone is on call, I try to approach them and like maybe shadow like how they are doing, how they solve those like issues and stuff like that. Sometimes my manager can see like those issues that an intern can handle and also work on that, because that's the real software engineering life. Like you do something, they ping you on like you are on a call, you have to fix stuff. And, like I'm trying to become like to feel like I'm a full-time software engineer. I don't want to be a software engineer and then that's when I'm actually learning those stuff, because then as an intern you just have one project to do for like 12 weeks, but I'm just trying to do like different stuff apart from my project.
And do you leverage AI across those smaller tasks, like solving bugs or just shadowing someone who's, let's say, on call and stuff?
So I kind of forgot to talk about like the way I use AI. So for AI is just that the interesting thing about Microsoft with AI, they have different like technologies, like different agentic AIs to help you like automate like your workflows and like help you out with like a thinking or like solving some problems and stuff like that. So from like your thinking to implementing to you opening up like a PR, like AI is involved in like all those like workflows and stuff like that. So one of like the interesting things I saw about like the way they use AI is just like every like every code like AI is supposed to write, there's like some specific instructions they have for that AI. You know, there's some specific documents like the AI has. So before, like for every prompt, it has to access those documents and actually the instructions, so it doesn't have to like hallucinate or like invent something that's like out of scope, you know. So the way they manage that is like really interesting, and also the way they use like the command line AIs and stuff, like it's just really like it's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that is good to know, and it's pretty much a similarity even in my case. I leverage AI across the process of development. So whether it's from planning to actual implementation, like writing code, to even like to some extent testing. Not much since the tests have already been made, but yeah, I can see it being a central part of our work as time goes on, and I think in the longer run, it's here to stay. I would say to some extent, especially as we move forward. You know, AI is gonna get cheaper in terms of that, and also it's gonna get better too. So it's really about us finding that balance between us being software engineers, but also working with the AI to accomplish our tasks. So it's almost like pair programming. You know, you have like another engineer to work with you on a particular task, and yeah, I think that's pretty interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, so I feel like for AI, I mean, like as I said before, like computer science or like software engineering. I mean, computer science is not software engineering, but like software engineering in general is about finding like the efficient way to like solve problems, right? But artificial intelligence is about finding the most like optimal way to, you know, to solve those problems. So I feel like with AI, it's just like it been amazing, because I think since like 2023, you can see it in education, in like software engineering, in like all the fields, from like healthcare, like agriculture, like sales, anything like businesses. It's just like AI been like improving like a lot of stuff and helping with people to like actually achieve what they are supposed to achieve in a faster way. So I think AI is, you know, is the future. I don't really know how it's gonna look like in the next 2 to 3 years, but I think
But we're both looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really it. Thank you so much for taking part in this podcast. I think for a lot of the viewers, probably people will have an idea right now more of how the process is to get into Microsoft, and also just have an idea of you as Luke, you know, in CS and stuff. And if you want to find more information or follow him on like I would say professional social media, you can find him on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I'll just attach his name on like a tag below, but to be Luke Muizera, you'll be able to find him on LinkedIn, and casually here and there he does posts about the projects he's working on. He does post about his work, so probably it's a good idea to just connect and have a conversation with him there if you have any particular question. I'm not saying that he's gonna be able to respond in time or he's gonna be able to respond at all, but probably I know him, and I think probably if he has time and the capacity, probably he would help someone out whether they have a question or so. But yeah, thanks so much for being our guest in the first episode. This was, I would say, a really good opportunity for us to just sit down and learn more about your experience, because today you mentioned stuff that I also didn't know, even though we have been friends, we've lived in the same apartment and stuff. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So I feel like, I mean, I'm really like all about, you know, giving back to the community. So I feel like anyone who needs help, like who can hit me up on like my LinkedIn or any of my social media to just like learn like something from me, it's just like I'm always willing to give them, because it's not like all the things that I achieved right now, it's because of me. You know, it's because of like God and like luck. So I have to like give back to the community.
Yeah, that's pretty essential. And yeah, I think that's it. It was nice having a conversation with you. I'll probably just catch you over the summer and stuff.
Thank you so much, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Peace.